one of the more amazing things is what's going on with the ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, that group that was co-founded by Paul Weyrich way back in the Reagan days and just before, that brings together Republican state legislators and lobbyists for corporations to write recommended legislation to be introduced into the state legislatures to advance the interests of the lobbyists. And Connor Gibson is with us. He's a researcher with Greenpeace. Greenpeace.org is the website. And last week, he infiltrated the ALEC summit. And this is incredible. Connor, welcome to the program.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm great. And I hope you are too. Tell me what happened.
Well, ALEC was having its third meeting of the year. ALEC always meets 3 times a year, and this is where our state lawmakers vote on model policies that are then introduced in the states behind closed doors as equals with lobbyists. The lobbyists that attend ALEC meetings have as much power as our lawmakers, our elected officials, to pass these policies. In Arizona, in Scottsdale, Arizona, this last week, ALEC met to discuss a range of issues, from attacks on our environmental policies to support for Israel during its tumultuous time abroad, to forcing schools to buy expensive technology from corporations to use in their classes, both public and private schools. ALEC has a broad privatization agenda, and transparency is really not part of their operations. And that's why Greenpeace and groups like the Center for Media and Democracy, People for the American Way, and a lot of the unions have been working for the last 4 years to expose ALEC's shadow lobbying. So
what happened when you showed up?
Well, when I showed up, at this point, I'm on a first-name basis with the security guard that ALEC hires. He's a very nice man. But he draws a line in terms of what we are or not allowed to do, and we tend to push that boundary as far as we can.
Because they hold their meetings on private property. They hold them in hotels, so they can, because it's not public property, they can keep you out of the conference rooms. In fact, they can even throw you out of the hotel.
Right, unless you have a couple $1,000 to cough up to become a member and a few more $1,000 to become a member of ALEC's task forces where the policy is actually created, then you are not allowed in.
Well, Mark Pocan actually did that, and he was a state legislator from the state of Wisconsin at the time. He's now, in the House of Representatives, he was on our program the day after he got thrown out because they simply recognized him as a Democrat.
Exactly. ALEC claims to be bipartisan, or nonpartisan rather, but you'll find very few liberals or progressives at the meetings. The people that do attend are usually there to get the information out to the voters so they know what ALEC is doing on behalf of these Fortune 500 corporations, like, companies like Peabody Energy, companies like ExxonMobil, like Koch Industries, UPS, Pfizer. These are the corporations that ALEC is helping insert an agenda into our state houses.
Yeah. It's remarkable. So you were what? So what did you learn when you were there? What did you see? There were some startling things in this article that I saw about this.
Right. So what we've done is, since ALEC does not disclose its membership rosters, meaning we don't know exactly which elected officials are members unless they tell their own constituents. We don't know which lobbyists are in the room with them. We don't know which lobbyists are fronting the bills. It's usually a corporation behind ALEC model policies, and they have a legislator act as the face for that bill. That's why we're showing up at the meeting and putting cameras in people's faces. One thing we take particular interest to is corporate slush funds that ALEC controls. They call them scholarship funds. Now, corporations dumped $4 million into ALEC's scholarship funds from 2006 to 2013. And that money is used to fly these legislators to these events, to pay for their dinners, to wine and dine them. It's like a little mini vacation if you're a state legislator. And most state legislators aren't that wealthy. So getting a vacation paid for by corporations that you don't have to disclose is a dream. And that's why we're showing up. And we actually have crashed dinner events with ALEC's national chairman, a Texas representative named Phil King, not keen on telling us who was buying his meal that night. We've asked several members, and so far, usually what happens is people deny they're even part of ALEC. And then it winds up being embarrassing about 30 seconds later when somebody else does say, yes, we're with ALEC. But it just shows that ALEC doesn't know how to operate outside of the shadows. And I think that should tell the American people a lot about whose interests they're serving.
Yeah. How long did this meeting last? What is you mentioned a couple of topics. Do you have any idea what legislation various states should be expecting, the 30 some odd Republican controlled states in the United States, what kind of legislation they should be expecting showing up in their state houses next year as a consequence, of these meetings with the lobbyists and Republican legislators?
Sure. One of ALEC's national priorities is blocking the implementation of the Clean Power Plan. So the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is now charged with regulating greenhouse gas emissions that are causing dangerous climate change around the globe. The American Legislative Exchange Council is rallying state lawmakers, state attorneys general, and even trying to get corporate slush funds that companies can dump money into to allow state attorney generals to litigate against the Environmental Protection Agency in order to not comply with reducing greenhouse gas emissions. This is after the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that greenhouse gas emissions indeed are dangerous to humanity and need to be controlled. And every effort was taken legislatively and executive options. ALEC is against any of them. ALEC continues to maintain a climate change denial operation, even if most of the lobbyists at ALEC meetings aren't stupid enough to say that climate change isn't happening anymore. But what you'll find is a major disconnect between the lobbyists at ALEC meetings understanding that climate change is real and the lawmakers who ALEC has brought in consultants like at the Heartland Institute or front groups like the Committee for Constructive Tomorrow, groups that have taken funding from the Koch brothers, from ExxonMobil, and from a lot of unknown donors. These lawmakers have been taught by these corporate lobbyists that atmospheric CO2 may in fact be good for you. And you'll find that the lawmaker position is even more out of sync with reality than most of the lobbyists that attend these meetings. So anti-environmentalism is always a big part of ALEC's agenda. Most broadly, it's about privatization and it's about corporate welfare. It's about saying free markets are a way to advance a narrow set of interests for the companies that ALEC serves.
So the three primary agenda pieces that you're seeing coming out of ALEC are suppress the government's ability to do anything about fossil fuel and carbon dioxide pollution. So
exactly.
that to protect the Koch brothers' profits and ExxonMobil's profits, presumably.
Yes, and they have a few other primary agenda items. They do a lot on privatization of schools, various ways to siphon public funds into private charter schools, and that's usually in service of the private education companies that are part of ALEC's task forces. There's still tobacco companies that are involved with ALEC, fighting various taxes and tariffs on tobacco policy. There's a broad agenda of what ALEC does, but you'll find that there's a specific corporation asking for a specific handout that pushes the agenda through to the states. Yeah.
Remarkable stuff. Remarkable stuff. Connor, I read the story about how, when you were being thrown out, a security guard took your phone and tried to break it, presumably because you were taking pictures of people. Are the pictures of those legislators or the video of those legislators at the ALEC meeting going to be published?
Sure thing. In fact, last week we published some of these amateur-style videos of us crashing the dinner events in the Phoenix New Times. A reporter named Miriam Wasser took some of the first rounds of videos that we got. There's lobbyists swearing at me. There's legislators hiding their faces from the camera. It's very interesting to see how folks react in that situation.
You would think if they thought that they were doing good that they would be proud to be there.
You would think so, but I think that says everything, right? If you're embarrassed to be seen there, are you doing anything illegal? Are you aware that ALEC's operations have been complained to by the Internal Revenue Service for potentially illegal lobbying? So I think that's why somebody like Mike Morgan, a lobbyist at Koch Industries, grabbed my phone out of my hand and retreated into the hotel with my phone for 15 minutes. God knows what he did with it in there. But, that's the kind of the pushback you can expect from these folks. They don't like being asked tough questions. They don't like it when the public puts the pressure back on them and says, hey, if you're going to make decisions about my life in secret, then I'm going to have to show up here and ask you about it. Yeah, we need more people with your courage. Connor Gibson, Greenpeace researcher who infiltrated ALEC last week, greenpeace.org. Is that where I can find the videos real quickly? Yes, and polluterwatch.org as well has videos now, and we'll have more coming up. Great. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Tom. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.